So I've been working on this 68 Mustang for about an hour and a half now, and I've stripped off the front fenders, all the accessory panels that run the front, splash pan, filler panel, the grill, all those sort of things. No real surprises. Thankfully the frame and everything looks solid from what I can see. Even where the bumper was mounted, there's still a little rust, but it's good and solid. I did suspect that there was going to be an issue with this front apron, and I was right. This isn't even attached to the car. It was attached with the sealant, I guess. See there? So that'll take like 30 seconds to rip off. But I do have the new one here from Mustangs Unlimited, and that's a pretty nice piece. You know, the angles are pretty decent. I'll probably have to dolly it a little bit to get it in shape, but no big deal. And then the core support, I know it's hard to see, but you can see right here, this is where they had just cut it off and then they pop riveted it back on. That's what all these little pop rivets are here. And so this obviously has to come out, and I already have a replacement one as well from Mustangs Unlimited, so that should be fairly decent. And then I was looking, this panel over here, this apron piece, I noticed that the fender, I'm not going to grab it, but the fender was kind of buckled under. And now that I see this panel is not straight, you can kind of look down it and see that it's pushed over. And I think it's from where they butchered it trying to fix this. You can see how this is kind of humped up right there. So I also have the apron piece, again from Mustangs Unlimited. And it's, you know, it's got a decent shape to it. Still going to need some finesse work up here on the front. You know, these are plasma cut pieces, and then just, you know, it gives you a basic, you know, panel to work with, and then it's up to you to make it fit properly. So there's that. Again, no real surprises over here. Thing looks pretty decent. Now you can see the junk they had done up here where they tried to patch it underneath the battery. I did get new suspension pieces. I did get 2 floor pans. The front section, well, it goes under the back seat, but not I mean underneath the rear footwell area, but not into the back seat. That all appears to be solid. And I also I bought a hood, and that has the indicators, turn signal indicators with it. And of course the hood I had was no good, so I had to get the kit, indicator kit. I also am going to convert it to power steering, and I'm going to rebuild the frame supports, or the floor supports, since I'm in there. And I did get all new control arm pieces. They look pretty nice. They're not the fancy ones with the paint on them, you know, the Concours Correct. But these are from Scott Drake. It actually has Scott Drake on them. You can kind of see it up there underneath the plastic. So they're nice pieces. And got a new battery box, and some these are new hinges in here. And just gonna start plugging away and see what I can get done on this car. I think I'm gonna build this one for my wife, hopefully, unless somebody decides to offer me too much money for it. So I'm making progress. Well, that didn't take much. I took it off as a unit. That way I didn't have to separate the apron from the core support, since I knew I was going to be replacing everything anyway. That other side, like I said, it didn't have anything holding on except for where the gas line went through. So I just cut that off, and I'll trim that later. The other side, all the factory welds were there, so I ground halfway through them and then punched them off. Still got to trim off this little piece up here, and I'm ready to start mocking up and fabricating again. Well, since I had all this sheet metal removed, I figured I'd go ahead and fix the shock towers. So I'll start over here on the left. I cut a nice square opening, or pretty close to a square, And then I had some, I guess just a piece of, I guess it'd be 2 by 3, 1.5 by 3, something like that, 1/8 inch thick, as a leftover from something. And I cut this out, I don't know if you can see it very well, and I'm going to weld that in place. I also cut out the back side on both the, I don't know if you can see it, yeah, down there. Both sides were mutilated pretty bad. But I figured since I was in here, I'd go ahead and fix those. And while I had all the sheet metal off, I did hit the whole thing with a pressure washer just to get some of the junk and gunk out of the way. I am going to, like I said, convert it to power steering. So this is a good opportunity to pull the steering box out. And I'm probably going to try to find a brake kit for it somewhere. And maybe even consider putting a vintage air kit in it. But that's where I'm at right now. And there's the first one burned in nice and hot. Just blend that down and it'll look good. And there it is with a little bit of blending. Now it'll take a little bit of filler to completely smooth that out, but it'll look good when it's all painted and finished up. So I did both sides and got the rear one as well. You can see that. I got one little hole I'm going to have to fill there. I see that now. And I got to do some more blending on this one. But that'll take care of the holes in the shock towers. The next thing I'm going to tackle is where they had the corrosion, big lump of corrosion up here on the rear apron. You can see it here as well. And usually the panel underneath is solid. It's just that where they're overlapped, the top one rusts out. And that's the case here on the right side. So I'll treat that with some rust inhibitor. I'll make a patch that'll fit that opening and then weld it and blend it, and it'll look good. And then once I get that done and the other side done, I'll probably finish putting the front apron on and the core support.